Greetings and welcome to Yarnspirations.com. I'm Mary Beth Temple for Hooked for Life, and please, before we get too far along, take a moment to subscribe to the channel for weekly content on knitting, crocheting, and other yarny crafts. And in this video, we're going to take a quick look at the knit Harlequin hat. Now, this is made in Caron and Pantone yarns. Now, we're showing two different versions, but you only need one braid for each. One, we used Moody Pumpkins on this side, and we use Purple Pops on the other. You, of course, can use whatever color floats your boat. You're also going to need two sets of double-pointed needles, one size US 9 or 5.5 millimeter, and one size US 10 or 6 millimeter, or size needed to obtain gauge. And we always tell you, you have to be careful with the Caron and Pantone yarns that you're getting the proper gauge because you don't want to run out of yarn. You want to make sure that your gauge is equal to ours or pretty darn close, so that you have enough yarn to complete your project satisfactorily. You're also going to need a stitch marker to mark the beginning of the round. Now, all I'm going to show you here is how to work on the chart and how to do the center decrease that we use for the crown shaping. So this will be a quick video, so let's get started. Now, this is a very, very simple hat to knit. The only thing that I want to talk about now is the color chart, and then there's a decrease I want to show you later, but this is going to be a short little video because the knitting is very simple. Now, this is version 1, this is version 2. The first, and you can use whatever color you want, but the first thing you want to do is, after you've selected your color, you want to break the braid apart. And we do have a separate video on how to do that if you need some help. And then you're going to label your colors A through E. So you can use either of the colors that we showed you, or you can, grab a different one. But after you get your balls all wound up, figure out what's A, what's B, what's C, what's D, what's E. That's the first thing you want to do. Then you are going to cast on, with your smaller double-pointed needles, you're going to cast on 72 stitches and work in knit 2, purl 2 ribbing for 6 rows in color A, and then you're going to break the A color. Then you're going to change to B and your larger set of needles, and we're going to knit rounds 1 to 26 of the chart. Now, we're reading right to left always because we're knitting in the round, and we're noting that the 8-stitch repeat will be worked 9 times total, and then break A, B, and E. So what is happening, and I'm working on the lighter chart just because I think it's easier to see on camera. You're working from the right to the left, right to left, right to left, right to left. So the first round is all that B color, so I just knit the round. Gentle reminder to put a locking stitch marker on the last stitch of the round so that you remember where the round begins and ends, because it's really easy to forget when you're knitting in the round. You don't have to move it up every single row, but move it up every 2 or 3 rows at the most, because you want to make sure that you are marking the correct stitch. And so now we're going to knit 1, 2, 3, 4 of the B, 1 of the C, 3 of the B, and then it's 4B, 1C, 3B, 4B, 1C, 3B. Okay, but the other thing that I want to talk about, let's see where this note is. When working from the chart, carry the yarn not in use loosely across the wrong side of the work. This is the part I want to talk about, but never over more than 5 stitches. When it must pass over more than 5 stitches, weave it over and under color not in use. The colors are never twisted around one another. So what they're saying here is you don't have to do the new under old twist that you do when you're knitting in Tarsha style, because this is technically Fair Isle style, because even though our many colors are in each row, you've only got 2 colors per row. If you look at any one of these rows, there's only 2 colors in it, so that is the Fair Isle style. But you don't want the yarn that's trailing across the back to be enormous. We call that the float. So the thing I want to point out, since we're working these charts one right after another, after my 1C color, I'm going to have 1, 2, 3 in the B, and then 4, 5, 6, 7. That's going to be 7 in a row. That's a lot. So I do want to start twisting on this one to make those floats a little smaller. So I know that was a lot of talking and not a lot of looking, but this is the point that I'm trying to make, is to get these colors twisted in the right way. So I'm going to knit my 4, 1. Now that first one's just loose because I just joined the color, and I joined it by just picking up a fold of the yarn 4 to 6 inches in from the end. I will tighten that up when I weave it in later. I don't like to tie knots. And I'm going to do the same thing when I'm adding this new color. Just going to pick up a fold of the yarn a little ways in. There. So now, since we're crossing this one stitch, no big deal to just bring the yarn across the back. I don't want to pull it too tight because I don't want the work to shrink in width, but I don't want to make it so loose that the stitches don't hold their shape. So you, of course, will be working on a bigger piece. I only cast on 24 stitches, not 72. So I'm working 3 repeats of the chart instead of your 9, but that was just so I could get to it. So there's my 1, 2, 3 in the B. And now I have to knit 1, 2, 3, 4 in the B. So when I come in the middle here, what I'm going to do, oh my goodness, let's get that tail in the way. So instead of trailing this all the way across, when I get here, I'm just going to wrap the yarn that I'm using around the one that I'm not using. And what that does is keep it up close to the work and doesn't have me an enormous float. So let's try that. We'll do that again in a minute. So here's my color that I'm working in. And I'm giving a tight little tug at where the double pointed needles, where the needles intersect, because I don't like there to be a ladder there. 3, 4. Again, let's turn this inside out. Now I want this color. But you see how it's twisted right in here? So it's okay for me to use it from here, because now I'm only crossing 4 stitches. Let's do that one more time. So I'm bringing the B color behind the C color. No big deal. 1, 2, 3, because I'm only floating it behind 1 stitch. And now I'm going to knit 4 with the B color, but I'm going to wrap it around the C color. All right, so here's my B, here's my C. I'm going to wrap it around so that that C color is held up nice and tight close to the work. And that will make those floats shorter. 2, oops, split it, let me undo that. 3, 4. So again, you can see how it's twisted right there to keep that float from being ridiculous. Here's my C, and 1, 2, 3 of the B color. Now I can choose to move my locking stitch marker at this point, or I can wait a row or two. I'm going to wait a row or two. I don't like to move it up every row. Round, rather. I shouldn't say row, I should say round. Okay, so here's how it looks on the inside. My little twists are holding things in place. And now I'm going up to the next round of the chart. So 2. I'm on row 2. Let's do it this way. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. Pardon me, I'm on row 3. The first row was the solid color row. Round 2 is what I just knit. I'm on round 3, so it's 1, 2, 3 of the B. 1, 2, 3 of the C, 2 of the B. Now I know I'm going to run into it, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So do I have to twist? Probably not. Can if I want to? Sure. But I'm not obligated to twist here. And if I look up at the next round, I'm going to see 1, 2 here and 1 there, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the middle, so I'm not going to have to deal with it there. When I get up to the 5th round, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of my C color, so I'm going to want to twist there. So you don't have to do the extra twist every single round. You only have to do it when you're going to have more than 5 stitches in one color in a row. So all of that said, I am going to twist before I begin the round, just because I have 3 of the B color over here, and I'm going to have 3 over here, and that's 6. So I'm going to give it a little twist. I would always say it's easier to do too much twisting than not enough, because you don't want those floats to catch. So once again, here's my colors. I'm just going to wrap the B around the C and go ahead and knit. Giving it a tug at the beginning of each needle. Because I don't want it to ladder. 2, 3. And now here's my C color. We're going to knit 3 in that. 1, 2, 3. And again, that first guy's loose just because it's a tail. That's something that I will tighten up when I weave in my ends. And I don't feel obligated to twist here because I'm only crossing 3. And right now I'm only crossing 5, so I'm not going to bother with the twist. I could if I wanted to, but I do not have to. 3, 4, 5. Now in this case, since I'm not twisting and I'm bringing it all the way over, once again, this is a part where gauge matters. I want to make sure that I'm not pulling it too tightly nor too loosely. It is something that will come with practice, and the farther you get, the easier it will be to see if you feel like it needs to twist or not. 2. Again, want to make sure I'm not going too crazy there. I don't want to pull on that float. Okay, so there's my stitches building up. I'm going to knit one more round. If you get the hang of it, you certainly don't have to watch the next 2 seconds. So on my next round, I'm going to have 2 of the B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the C, 1 of the B, and 1 and 2 is 3, and we've got 5 in there. So once again, this is a round in which I do not have to twist anything if I do not want to. Also, because your piece is bigger, you'll have a lot more. This looks like I'm having a lot of round beginnings, but it's because my piece is so much smaller than yours. Okay, so here's our little stitches building up. And as you can see on the chart, eventually I'm going to change to C and D, and then D and E, and then we add the A back in, etc. So I'm going to follow this chart through all 26 rounds. When that is done, I'm going to switch just to color C, whatever your color C happens to be, and I'm going to shape the top as follows. Now I'm not going to do the whole thing here, but I want to talk about this center decrease because it is not it decreases 2 stitches, but it's not the one that we have used very frequently. So I just want to get to just some plain knit stitches, and let's take a look at the instructions. Okay, center decrease is worked over 3 stitches. Slip next 2 stitches as if to knit 2 together. Knit 1, then pass slip stitches over knit stitch. Center of the 3 stitches should be on top of the decrease. 2 stitches have been decreased. So let's take a look at how that looks in real life. So I'm going to slip 2 stitches knitwise as if to knit 2 together. So if I knit 2 together, I'd be doing that, right? Then I'm going to knit the next stitch, and I'm going to pass the 2 slipped stitches over the knit one. And that gives me this sort of straight up and down double decrease. Let's do that one more time. Slip 2 as if to knit 2 together. Knit the next one. And then pass the 2 together over the one that you've knit. And it gives you that straight up and down decrease. So that's all there is to knit. It's a very, very simple hat to knit, and it's a fun way to use up your Karen and Pantone braids. So thank you for joining us here for the Knit Harlequin hat. I'm Mary Beth Temple for Hooked for Life. Please join us here on Yarnspirations.com and subscribe to the channel for fresh content weekly on knitting, crochet, and other yarny crafts. And we look forward to seeing you again real soon.